All right, everybody, so welcome back. On set now is author Dr. Clarence Greene, a writer who has been trained in some aspects of safety in the United States and here in Trinidad and Tobago, with a focus on human trafficking as well as the crime climate within our country. He is here to expose his books to the national and Caribbean public with a series called Tips, Training in Personal Safety. Doctor, good morning and thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me as well.
It's always good to see and speak with you, Doctor. What's the message this morning?
The message is safety. The message is safety. We live in an environment in Trinidad and Tobago, and not exclusive to any part of the world, but we're dealing with home. When we look at what's happening on the ground in all areas, crime and everything else, safety is important. And that's what inspired me to write the books. Trying to give people enough information on the ground, not just from, like the previous guest that you had on. He's a trained police officer. How much of that information, except through channels like these, is going to filter down to the common man? And when I talk in safety, I'm not talking safety in the area of just crime alone.
Yeah.
I'm talking safety across the board. Whether you're driving your car in a disaster, we're talking hurricanes, we're talking about tornadoes, we're talking about earthquakes, we're talking about floods, we're talking about every aspect of safety. Because life is about safety, and whatever we do has an element of safety. But we want to get that information to the general public. Relationships, everything. So that is the whole premise. TIPS, I call it TIPS. You said tips, but I call it TIPS to make the point. It spells tips at the end of the day, but it's training. Get the information to the grassroots people, get the information to the schools, get the information to the household, because when a disaster comes, before we get emergency help, we have to help ourselves.
Yeah. You said books, eh? So it's more than one book.
It's more than one book. Right now it's 3 books. We have a 4th one coming on. The first one is called Training in Personal Safety, which gives a general idea of what we're doing with it. Like I said, it's a series, and it gives information about disasters, complete information, tips, on information. The second book is based on something that we might be familiar with. It's called The Other Room Was Quiet. Other Room Was Quiet means we're giving tips on why men cheat.
Okay.
And it's a very controversial book. Ladies are not very comfortable with it. But we address some of the issues why men are unfaithful in relationships. We don't give sides to it, but we bring it out and we talk about it in a very factual way. The other book is one that we may not be familiar with, but it happens. I've had some interviews done with ladies in Trinidad. It's called The Daughter, the Other Woman, which deal with incestuous relationships. It's a kind of ugly subject, why fathers get into having those type of relationships with their daughter, and looking at the signs of what happens that triggers that. And, we want to get that information too, because too many young women are experiencing that in our country. And the more research we do, we're finding out it's prevalent and stuff like that. Then we have one called CARE, C-A-R-E. CARE is dealing with people in your home who might be challenged during a disaster. So you might be blinded, or you may be paralyzed, or some kind of sickness, the dog who can't take care of itself during a disaster. What do you do during a disaster when you have people around you who you love? You might be able to help yourself in a flood. Somebody who's crippled can't move. What do you do in situations and scenarios like that? So we give a broad base, and we're coming one after the next. We're delving into the areas of safety in all aspects of our lives that make it practical.
I see in our introduction I spoke about human trafficking.
Human trafficking is a big part of my training, because when I left Trinidad in 2000, I was dealing with domestic violence, which I addressed on this station many years, against men. And when I went to the States, I bumped into this whole thing. I said it, I bumped into this thing called human trafficking by mistake through an organization I was running there, a 501c3 organization called Foundation for Men Awareness. And I was trained by some arms of the federal government there. And they did a lot of work in the United States addressing the whole idea of human trafficking. Coming home, I realized this is something that is going on here. So I got some training with national security through counter-trafficking. Ms. Alana Wheeler, the director at the time, and I got some serious training to understand what was happening on the ground. So we're addressing the human trafficking issue. We're training. The last training I did through the Catholic Church on Pembroke Street, we trained police, we trained regiment, we train everybody, prison officers, nurses, we train a whole lot of them. So the training continues. You want to give people information, because information sometimes may not stop the crime, but you're in a better position to make better judgment. What do you do? What do children do in a situation? Who is a stranger? We have a game we wrote on who is a stranger for kids. We go into the preschools and we talk about who is a stranger in a nice, playful way, so the child would understand who is a stranger. A stranger is someone you don't know, but they do it in a playful manner. All part of the TIPS program, but getting it to the right people in the right way, you know, so that they can better protect themselves in a situation that confronts them.
How can people avail themselves to these books?
The books are on Amazon. All of the books are on Amazon. We have one on domestic violence, and it's called Discovering the Batterer, Helping the Abuse. When you listen to that book, this is an audio book, when you listen to that book, you could determine if you're in a bad relationship and what to do about it, because it goes through the whole and it's not written with a gender bias. So you could go to Amazon and you could pull up the books, or you could call me at my number. We have another platform here in Trinidad where it's like a book, but it's a flip book. And you can get it on the flip book locally. So you get the same book that's on Amazon, the Kindle format in Amazon. You have it in a real book format on Amazon. In Trinidad and Tobago, you can get it through the flip stage. All you got to do is call me. We give you the link. You purchase it, it downloads on your phone, and you read it like a book. It just flips like a book.
Yeah. But how can people get in contact with you?
1-868-397-5961. Call us, because we want not just to sell the book, we want to do something with the money from the books. We want to channel that book in a program we call Every Need Fulfilled, and we want to donate some of that money so that people who are in situations can benefit from some of the proceeds of that book. It's an exciting book, and it's a very relevant book that we're doing, and we hope that...
What do people look for when they go onto Amazon?
You can type in Dr. Clarence Greene. Once you type that in, all the books are going to come up immediately, and you can just choose which one you want. Yeah.
What are the reviews thus far?
Very good reviews, very, very good. And let me tell you, I've had people call me from England. I've heard people call me from the United States. One writer, I think he was on one local film writer, I think he was on the station here a couple of weeks ago. He actually approached me to do a movie on the books.
All right.
Yeah. And we want to get into the schools, because we think, as a matter of fact, what I'm pushing for ultimately, outside of getting these books sold and into the hands of people, I think it is important to get this book, this TIPS on television, and do a series of programs in all areas. He talked about the dogs. We talk about human trafficking, all areas. So we have a series of programs under the whole thing of TIPS. So we're giving people information on all areas of safety and what to do in a disaster. How many bottles of water do you need per person in a disaster? 7 gallons of water per person. Who knows that off the top of their head?
Yeah.
But those are some of the things we're trying to get into people's hands. What do you do if you find yourself being attacked by somebody on the outside? There's a lot of things that in the book and in those books that are relevant, and when you read it, you better equip to function, walk in the street, you better equip, walk in the neighborhood. The dog is attacking you, in a better position to understand what to do.
Yeah. And Dr. Greene is being very specific, because if you ask me how much water do I need, I would say plenty. Right? So, Dr. Greene, I have about a minute again. Anything else you'd like to add before you leave us this morning?
I want people to call me and purchase the book, or go on Amazon and purchase the book. The book is relevant to our everyday life in Trinidad and Tobago. We live in a very volatile situation in Trinidad and Tobago. There's a lot of hot spots, as they say. And people are scared, and people don't know what to do. And if we educate ourselves, I think we're in a better position to protect ourselves and our families.
You active on social media?
Very active on social media. Just go on Bijou Caribbean Connect. That's the name of the Facebook link page. Bijou Caribbean Connect. You see everything you need to see there about what they need to get.
Yeah, Dr. Greene, it's always good to see and speak with you. Thank you very much for taking the time on this Tuesday morning after the holiday to come down to speak with us.
Nice to be here, as usual.
Okay. All right. So we are going to a very short break, everybody. Do we have this for our viewers? We're heading to El Socorro. If Dr. Greene is heading in that direction this morning, we're going to give him a traffic update. So that's what you're going to be experiencing this morning, Dr. Greene. All right. So the left-hand side, that's in El Socorro. Yeah. The middle lane, that's heading east, and to the right-hand side, that's westbound. All right. So the traffic is moving quite nicely this morning, if I do say so myself. All right, everybody, we're coming back.